It starts with a shakedown. A sergeant screams about regulations while tearing through a private's kit bag in a muddy trench. He isn't looking for enemy intelligence, he's looking for unauthorized steel. In the eyes of the Quartermaster Corps, a soldier carrying a non-standard weapon is a logistical nightmare. Different calibers break supply chains, and a gun without ammunition is nothing more than a heavy paperweight. The official doctrine was clear: trust your government-issued rifle. But doctrine doesn't sit in a foxhole at 2 a.m. listening to the enemy crawl through the wire. Frontline realities dictated that when the rifle jammed or the enemy was too close for comfort, a hidden second option wasn't a luxury, it was life insurance. The Army said no. The soldier said, just try and take it. These are the 10 forbidden handguns that defied orders and made it to the front lines anyway. Number 10 begins in the mailroom, where thousands of American families sent care packages containing wool socks, chocolate, and a Smith & Wesson .38 Special. Officers were ordered to confiscate these mom-and-pop revolvers immediately. The logic was cold logistics. The Army did not ship .38 ammunition to the front, making these guns dead weight. Yet, soldiers hoarded civilian rounds and hid the weapons anyway. They knew that while a semi-automatic 1911 could jam in French mud, a wheel gun simply never failed. Number 9. The Ruby pistol was banned for a darker reason: it was a death trap. These cheap, rusted Spanish knockoffs from the Great War were notorious for soft metal slides that could explode backward into the shooter's face or fire when dropped. Commanders forbade them to prevent accidents, but for a desperate soldier, holding a dangerous gun was still safer than a captured Japanese suicide weapon. Number 8 is the Nambu Type 94, a weapon more dangerous to its owner than the enemy. It featured a catastrophic design flaw, an exposed sear bar on the side of the frame. You didn't even need to pull the trigger; squeezing the holster too tight or bumping it against a rock could discharge the weapon. U.S. intelligence explicitly banned troops from using captured Nambus, labeling them suicide risks. Yet Marines in the Pacific still stuffed them into waistbands as trophies, often resulting in negligent discharges that shattered their own femurs. Number 7. The FP-45 Liberator was banned for the opposite reason: it was barely a gun at all. Stamped from sheet metal for $2, it was designed strictly for French resistance fighters to execute a German at point-blank range and steal his rifle. Officers forbade frontline infantry from carrying them because they were single-shot junk that took longer to reload than to manufacture. Some guns were banned because they were trash. Others were banned because they were too good at doing dirty work. Number 6 wasn't just banned, it was legally non-existent. The High Standard HDM was a suppressed .22 pistol built exclusively for the shadow world of the OSS. Regular infantry were forbidden from even seeing it to protect its classified status. However, elite paratroopers often acquired them through illicit back channels, desperate for a silent method to eliminate guard dogs before a raid without alerting the German line. Then there is number 5, the Well Rod. This bolt-action curiosity looked less like a weapon and more like a black bicycle pump. It remains the quietest pistol ever made, yet it was effectively banned from regular service for moral reasons. The Well Rod was not designed for honorable combat. It was designed for assassination, shooting an unaware target in the back of the head at contact distance. Traditional officers viewed it as a murderer's tool, not a soldier's sidearm, and refused to issue it. It was the quietest gun of the war. But the next gun on our list was so loud it broke the shooter's bones. Number 4 is the Obrez, a weapon born from pure Russian desperation. On the freezing Eastern Front, partisans had no access to factory-made pistols. Their solution was brutal: take a full-length Mosin-Nagant battle rifle and hack the barrel and stock down to a jagged nub. The result was less of a gun and more of a handheld flashbang grenade. Firing a high-powered 7.62 rifle cartridge from just 2 inches of barrel was physically punishing. The recoil could snap a starving man's wrist, The massive muzzle flash would blind everyone in the room, and the bullet would often tumble sideways through the air, keyholing targets at merely 5 feet. It was inaccurate, dangerous, and crude. Yet, they kept them anyway because you could hide it under a heavy winter coat. But while the Obras was makeshift, the next guns were factory perfect and actively used by both sides of the war. Number 3 is the Browning High Power, the only pistol to fight extensively on both sides of the war. While it was the chosen sidearm of the British SAS, the Waffen SS also carried thousands produced in occupied Belgium. This created a deadly problem. In the confusion of a night raid, the High Power's distinct silhouette looked dangerously German. Allied commanders frequently banned troops from carrying captured models, fearing that a friendly sentry would see the gun's profile and fire before asking questions. Yet, the allure of superior firepower meant many risked the friendly fire. Then there is number 2, the Luger P08, the undisputed holy grail of war trophies. Allied High Command issued frantic warnings to leave them where they lie, not out of respect for property, but fear of maiming. Retreating German sappers knew the Americans' lust for souvenirs, often rigging a pristine Luger to a buried mine or a grenade pen. To pick one up was to risk blowing your arm off. Even if it wasn't rigged, the Luger's finicky toggle lock action was notorious for accidental discharges in inexperienced hands. But soldiers ignored the warnings, risking sudden death for a souvenir. Yet the final gun on this list wasn't just stolen, it was illegal because it was mutilated. Number 1 is the ultimate act of soldier rebellion, the modified M1911. While the standard .45 was legendary, some troops decided it wasn't deadly enough. Drawing inspiration from the gangster era of John Dillinger, soldiers took metal files to the internal sear mechanism, converting the semi-automatic pistol into a fully automatic hand cannon. Others created fit specials, sawing off the front of the trigger guard for a split-second faster draw. To the Ordnance Department, this was a serious crime. Modifying a weapon was destruction of government property, punishable by heavy prison time. Tactically, it was a nightmare. A full auto 1911 was nearly uncontrollable, climbing wildly and spraying 7 rounds into the ceiling in under a second while wasting precious ammunition. Yet, in the claustrophobic caves of the Pacific, where Japanese charges came out of the dark at arm's length, accuracy didn't matter. Volume of fire did. Soldiers ignored the threat of court-martial to build a weapon that could clear a room instantly. It represents the final line between a soldier and a survivor, the willingness to break the law to ensure you are the one standing when the smoke clears. This was no longer government property. It was a personal, illegal killing machine. There is a vast distance between the parade ground and the battlefield. On the parade ground, regulations maintain discipline. In the mud, they get you killed. The soldiers who carried these forbidden weapons understood a dark truth. It is better to be judged by 12 than carried by 6. If an illegal pistol is the difference between returning home or becoming a telegram, the court-martial is a price worth paying. The manual is paper. Survival is blood. Which of these banned blasters would you trust your life with? The silent Welrod or the chaotic Obras? Let us know in the comments. And for more Forbidden History, the official reports left out, make sure to like and subscribe.